Did my decision to follow Christ change my life? Did my decision to follow Christ change my life? Because sometimes people accept Christ as fire insurance. I just want to escape the fires of hell. I just want to go to heaven. But did it actually make a difference in your life? And some of us here, you've been walking with Jesus for a while and you've been coming to this church for more than 10 years, maybe more than 15. What's one thing that you can celebrate in the last year? And I'm not talking about perfection. We're moving forward slowly, right? And he who began a good work inside of me will bring it to completion until the day of Jesus Christ. We are all under construction. He's still fixing us, right? But what is it last year and comparing it to this year that God has changed, or at least you've inched closer to complete and perfect sanctification? That God has changed you. Maybe in this area of anger, maybe in this area of lust, maybe in this area of greed, maybe in this area of pride. What is it? We're inching, we're moving, we're being renewed day by day. This past week, I ministered in the discipleship convergence of Pastor Timothy Law in Malaysia. And I met a lady who's right in the middle in the blue cap. She's Burmese. She lived in Myanmar and moved to Malaysia because of a scholarship. Or actually, she moved to Bangkok first and then moved to Malaysia. She was a student and now working. And Ruth, that's her name, was telling us the story because during lunchtime, the guy beside me is Pastor Sean, who's our pastor in Damansara in Malaysia. And these are some of the people in church with him. When we were having lunch, I asked Ruth, I said, okay, Ruth, how did you meet Christ? And every one of those guys on the table started to laugh. I said, why did you laugh? Well, because Pastor, he has a very interesting story. I said, okay, now I'm interested. Tell me. All right. And so she moved from Myanmar to Bangkok because of a scholarship. While in Bangkok, she lived a life that was far away from God and didn't really seek God. She tried meditation, personal reflection, lived in a monastery for a while, shaved her head and all that. But she knew while trying to get all this inside of her, there was all this junk inside of her as well. And so there was a lot of just guilt and trying to get rid of that guilt through personal meditation. It didn't work for her. And so she said, somebody invited me to church, but I didn't really want to go to church. So I went for a while, but until I got invited into a small group of Bible study. And in that Bible study, somebody manifested because she was demon possessed. And so now this was my first experience, she says. And so she was watching this girl being demon possessed. And the host of the house started to cast out the demon. And again, apparently, I guess, the host of the house spoke to the young girl who had the demon and said, don't touch Ruth because Ruth is our guest, okay? Don't go to, don't go to her or anything like that. And so now Ruth was listening to all this, right? But the demon said, oh, I'm not going to disturb Ruth because because Ruth is my follower. And so she listens and she was listening to all this like, oh, I'm a follower of the devil. The next Sunday she goes to church and somebody explains to her the message of salvation, what Jesus did for her. And with tears in her eyes, she gives her life to Christ. Surrenders her life to Christ. And of course now, God starts doing something in her life. And slow but sure changes come. And again, like what I was telling, I don't have time to explain all just the things that she was telling us during the lunchtime, what God transformed her from and to where she is today. She's serving. She's a small group leader. She's serving in the church. And she is loving God. God moves us step by step. You see, the goal is not spiritual perfection, but it's spiritual progress. That would be my question to you. What would be a win that you can celebrate from last year to this year? Where did God move you from last year to where you are today? What would be a win?